All right. So a very warm good morning or good afternoon, depending upon the time zone you are in. My name is Kuldeep. I'm the senior strategist at Ananito, and I would like to welcome our panelists today, two distinguished speakers, and they're entrepreneurs, and they're going to share a ton of experiences and their learnings with you today. And we would touch upon their stories. We would love to know how they have started. And without further ado, let me make a quick introduction, and then we'll begin with the formal Q&A. So first, let me go to Raj. Raj Armani is the Chief Operations Officer and co-founder of adult store Besharam, and he has created this store for the sole reason of breaking the taboo India has over sex and several stigmas. And Raj has completed his Bachelor of Arts degree from Kansas State University, and he also did his MBA from Cardiff University. And Raj is an entrepreneur, and before finding his present venture, he was the franchisee owner of Fantush, a garment brand, right after school. And he became the president of the company and owned multiple stores across the world. He later became the CEO of Supercom LLC in 2004, and he's a concept creator of restaurant chain Bollywood Cafe. He also found Pizza Babe Pizza Shop, which combines the concept of superhero into their dish and mascot. Raj has been doing amazing work over the years, and we would love to know his stories. And Raj, thank you so much for joining today. It's an honor to meet you.
Thank you. It's a mutual pleasure. Thank you.
Wonderful. Next, we have on the panel with us is Austin Speck. Austin is the CEO of Titan Brands, a rapidly growing online retail company. And Titan Brand is one of the top 30 fastest growing e-commerce brand. And Austin is leading the entire company from the front, and he's tremendous with his leadership style. And Austin was part of the executive leadership program at the Stanford University Graduate School of Business. He completely relies on quick results and organic growth, and also has various experience in different roles such as finance, sales, marketing, and organizational management. Before Titan Brands, Austin has worked for two Fortune 500 companies and rapidly climbed the corporate ladder. And he's the youngest person to make partner at just 25, and has held several prestigious titles like District Director, Chief Development Officer, and Chief Growth Officer. Austin is also the founder and CEO of Share Uplift, and Managing Director of A-Team Consulting Group. And he has a successful track record in financial sector and has garnered himself recognition from several companies. Would love to learn more from Austin about his work and his experiences. Thank you so much, Austin, for joining in. It's an honor to have you today with us.
Absolutely. I'm happy to do it.
Wonderful. Gentlemen, my first question to both of you is around your story. Like, how did you venture into like entrepreneurship? What was your why? If you can share some background, some thought into that. Raj, let's start with you.
Well, entrepreneurship came as a need of the hour. I was 18 and started to have needs and wants, which my dad would say, no, this is your limit. This is what you can do. So it was a need of the time, and I got, in a way, pushed into becoming an entrepreneur too early, but I enjoyed the journey. I grew up in India till my early years, and over there I got into retail and manufacturing because one of my family members saw me have potential at 18 and invited me to work in their team, and I was pretty much learning on the go. There was a lot of processes I had to improve myself with my own instincts and my own observation and best judgment. Some failed, some did very well. And I continued that, and I enjoyed the part where I was financially independent. I was doing much better in my peers and my, in I kind of got used to it, and I realized that that's my forte. I had a natural knack for sales, even though I realize in today's world, sales is a dirty word, but it came naturally to me. And in all of my positions from then to being a franchisee owner till today, my sales ability and my knack for negotiation has brought me up to much more success than I would have visualized myself. And then I moved to the US in the late 90s, and since then here it was a different life, that you were used to back in India, and starting from ground up again. I did the same thing. I did try to get a job when I moved to US, but I was fired on the second day because I was too, in the word of the owner, I modified their setup and they didn't agree to it. And I tried to do that to make it better, but obviously that was a difference of vision. But thanks to him, I did my first entrepreneurial venture in the US, starting very basic, still learning the ropes. And the first venture also failed. And all my savings I had, I was negative. And then I start again. And this time it was phenomenal. We were the youngest agents for AT&T, then Singular Wireless, in the whole of North Florida region. The company gave us multiple awards over a period of 7 years. At the end of it, we had about 7 locations that we were doing very well, coming up with anywhere between $6 to $7 million in revenue. And I was just 25 years then. And I thought I was doing good, but then I realized Austin was already the chief growth officer and CEO that young. So kind of I got a reality check. But since then, and then the Great Recession came in, and we had to switch our business model because, of course, like everybody else, we lost heavily because we were in retail then, and it was not a sustainable model. And then I dabbled into a restaurant business, which was my passion. I thought it was very fancy and glamorous, but I didn't realize what happens behind the scenes. So there was a little spike and a setback, and then I realized that I want to come up with a business model which is not defined to a brick and mortar office, or it does not require my being physically involved in it all the time. So that's when I pivoted my energy and focus to e-commerce, and we launched our company in 2011, officially went live in 2013 as a cross-border e-commerce brand. In 2013, a lot of people thought we were crazy talking about cross-border, living in the US and selling to customers in India, products which were typically taboo and looked down upon, the adult products, and have complications with supply and logistics. And the 101 other challenges when you're a startup and you're trying to get payment gateway, you don't have the revenue to show that, you don't have, so everything was against you, but it was crazy. But in the long run, it paid off. We went live in 2013, and now we are India's #1 adult store with a stellar following. We have over 1 million page views, over 250,000 unique visitors, over 12 million in annual revenue, looking at this year, basing what we have now. Thanks to the pandemic, we got a big boost. So that's the journey I've had since 96 to 2021, in short.
Oh, that's tremendous, Raj, I must say. And I think you have traveled a lot, I think, because all those experiences matter, and those learnings allow you to do all those very, very important things. And I think it's often being said, I think Reid Hoffman of LinkedIn said in one of his quotes, like, entrepreneurship is just like pushing yourself from the mountain and then figuring it out, like, okay, what will happen? It's just like that. So excellent. I mean, that's an amazing
Sometimes you have
journey
to.
that you shared. Absolutely. Great.
Thank you.
Wonderful. Let me quickly go to Austin as well. And I think Austin also is running now, like in one single company, they have four different brands. And I think everything is in a very, very unique and niche space. So Austin, if you can share some light on how are you managing these brands and uh, your story a little bit.
Yeah, so my story, how I got to Titan Brands, our founder of the company started it approximately 20 years ago. And he had this mission just to provide, affordable products that are great quality to the masses. You have all these niche companies that, will build these high quality products that are super expensive. So premium products with that premium cost that comes with it. His mindset very much, how do we create a product, without compromising quality and deliver it to that customer at the most affordable price? So, definitely jumped in with this company over a couple of years ago and have just grown rapidly. And again, became the CEO almost a year ago here to continue to grow the company for the future. Prior to that, I mean, I guess, entrepreneurial spirit started at a super young age, probably 13 years old. I was jumping in and running bulldozers and excavators and heavy machinery because my family owned a construction company back in the day. So that's where I really learned like work ethic and what it takes to really be successful. I've never really experienced an 8 to 5 kind of role to where you show up and then you clock in, clock out. It's you just do whatever it takes to get the job done. And that's the way I was raised. And that's kind of followed through with me all throughout my career and my life. And I attribute a lot of my success to that mindset, just whatever it takes to get the job done. And, obviously growing from there, I jumped into finance at a pretty good time when the market was at rock bottom, and nobody really wanted to get into the finance role because it was basically a bloodbath at the time. Everybody's losing money and nobody wants to talk to their financial advisor. If they do, they're very upset with them. So I jumped in at the time where the market was again at the bottom, and fortunately, several clients were looking to move money and look for somebody new that had new ideas. Jumped in and grew very quickly. Again, made partner at 25, and that's when I was introduced to the corporate side of business. Super interested in that. Always wanted to climb the corporate ladder. I think whenever I was younger, they asked me what I wanted to be when I grew up. And I was like, just the CEO of a company. I want to wear a suit and all that stuff every day, just thinking that that's what the life was. But the work ethic that it takes to actually get to that point is just, very, very difficult, as you all know. And without that, I think it's impossible to become a CEO of a company. Especially running one as an entrepreneur, because everything relies on you. You start from the ground up, and if something fails, like you're the one that has to get it fixed. And, we have a very entrepreneurial spirit here at Titan. I tell my entire team that they are basically the CEO of the departments that they run. And if I have to jump in there and help them or run it for them, then, they might not be the right fit for the role. So that's just ingrained in our culture, just that entrepreneurial spirit, just to continue to grow. And grow profitably. We don't act like we have this huge checkbook where we can just write checks to get things done. We try to run as lean as possible, but we also do the best that we possibly can for our customers and constantly keep them at the center of really everything that we do. So that's kind of our mission and how we're growing. So, but as far as my path, I really loved like the corporate ladder and the C-suite, getting there and actually making decisions for these big companies, actually being able to make some changes whenever you jump in. And that's honestly, I think anybody would tell you that's the only way that I would be able to work for someone is if I have active making the decisions. I have started a couple of companies myself, and I have a few side projects now to where I'm the founder or CEO, and also with Titan running this company. It's just basically a dream come true. So I really enjoy it.
Wow, Austin, that's a tremendous story that you shared, like how it started so early at a very young age, how all those qualities that are needed definitely in the long run have been inculcated at such an early age, because that's what matters. And I think the world we are living in is such a unpredictable and turbulent world. And I think running a business is like wearing all these different hats. And as a CEO, you have to constantly be on the top of everything, because I think that's when people come to you and ask you for a solution. So that's amazing. And I think those things that you shared are really, really insightful. I think anybody who want to venture into, if they're able to do something like this right from the very beginning, sky's the limit for growth. And excellent, awesome, amazing advice there. My next question, gentlemen, for both of you is around, uh, while we were talking before the panel began, is about launching an e-commerce site. It's such an easy thing. It's like building a website is such a thing. But I would like to know your thoughts on brand building. How did you build your brand that is like known by, let's say, at least uh, by, let's say, 100,000 people, 200,000 people, and has a recognition? Because there are a million sites in Shopify, there are a million sites in Magento, but there are hardly those 1,000, 5,000 sites which people actually call it as brand and go and buy. So I would like to know your take on brand building. What are some of the things that you do on a regular basis to build your brand and to make that mark? Raj?
So, a very good question. And I think this would be a question that would be looked up by thousands of entrepreneurs who are jumping in from working in an organization to doing their own thing. Uh, like I shared in my story, a lot of my earlier failures, and I think those failures were instrumental in helping us understand why we failed. What we realized that we failed because we did not invest ourselves enough in that brand dedicate ourselves enough to a certain time that you need. It's like watering the plant. Unless it becomes a certain size of tree, if you abandon it or you divert your focus, it's not going to grow up in the tree you imagine. So the first thing was 100% commitment. You'll have to come in with 100% commitment. You'll have to keep your distractions aside, because every day you'll come up with a new idea. Every time you're going to be approached, oh, how about this, how about that? But you have to remember your focus. Once you know, okay, that's my goal. That's what I need to achieve. So you need to get your 100% commitment to what you want to do. And commit to that. Like they say, commit at least 3 years, commit at least 5 years. And we realized we had to commit at least 5 years, because every brand, every company, the first year, 2 years is gonna be shaky, and you can let that waver your determination. So the first thing I would say is 100% commitment you should have as a founder or CEO towards building the brand. The second thing, remember, a brand is also like a human in a way. And for somebody to trust that brand, you need to build a reputation or credibility. So for us, our brand building process from day one has not been to acquire more and more customers. For the first 5 years, we did not at all realize or go after, oh, we need to acquire this, we need to acquire that, or this is how we advertise, or this is how we want to get more and more revenues. Or every aspect of us, whether we were building the site, we were doing any PR announcements, we were doing any marketing, advertising, was going towards how can we build our brand to become a one-stop shop for the certain commodity people are looking for. And a very wise man told me long before, I'm sure Austin will also agree, that if a consumer likes you or trusts you, they'll buy from you. So it's not about a product. You could be selling anything. You could sell this iPod, you could sell the coffee, but create a brand that people can trust and like. So our focus has always been on that. In the first 5 years, how we did it is, it's going to be something that's going to suit various brands and products differently. But for us to get to a position where we can establish our brand, or we call it a brand, was that we should have people who trust, who follow, and who know. So in the initial stages, we signed a very well-known celebrity to become the face of our brand. The celebrity was a good fit for a brand because the celebrity was also an American person, but of Indian origins. It kind of resonated with our brand because we were an American company of Indian origins catering to India. So that gave us a big boost initially. Secondly, being that we were dealing in a commodity which attracts attention. We are selling products which automatically get your attention. So you really don't have to shout out loud. You could just say, hey, that's where you get these products. And the word of mouth multiplies faster. Even though there is a challenge also, it multiplies faster, but nobody wants to talk about it. So people know about it, people want to know about it, they want to buy it, but they don't want to talk because what will the others say? What will others? So it was a double-edged sword for us, how to grow the brand. But because our focus primarily was, in everything we did, even our advertising we did through influencers, and it was all about giving a value as a brand, not trying to sell. I hear on a lot of selling strategies and experts, they all talk about your advertising and social media should be 80% tell and 20% sell. All we did was 100% tell, 100% educate, 100% share valuable information and focus towards building up a community for a purpose and not to promote the product, which for us, thankfully, it paid off. And today we have an amazing social media following, 250,000 between our Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram channels. We have been written in almost every major news media in India, and just like, in the US, Google is a second name for search, or what am I called? Band-Aid is a second name for a plaster. So in India, Besharam is the second name for buying any adult product in an adult store. So that has worked for us, and that's I'd like to share with you.
Excellent. So that's an amazing insight that you shared there, like how you make sure you stick to your goal. And I think brand building is an entire process, and I think you did it making sure that you are constantly educating your consumers and making sure that you are kind of breaking that taboo. Definitely, I think, as you said it rightly, I think it's there, it's not being talked about, and I think that takes effort, definitely, because I think there are a lot of things which requires, and I think education is the only thing, or the consumer awareness is the only way it can be conveyed. And wow, that's a great insight for any entrepreneur or for any venture out there, that okay, you built a product, you built the site, okay, now if you want to engage with your target audience, that's the only way to go. Excellent advice, Raj. Austin, let me come to you. Within your Titan brands, you have these different 4 different brands that you are heading. So how is your brand building process, and what are some of the things that you do in order to make sure that you are able to engage with your potential target audience amidst the competition? Definitely there's competition. What do you do uniquely?
Yeah, this is a great topic. So traditionally with Titan, I guess historically, they've been product-focused company. What we try to do is provide as much value as we possibly could to our customers by building products and offering it to them at the most affordable price that we possibly can. So, huge marketing budgets, like spending money on the media, or, back in the day, like TV commercials and things like that. We just kind of skipped that path and just wanted to deliver the products to our customers, like I said, as affordable as possible. So we built our brand on just providing that value. Like Raj said, it's spread through word of mouth, and people are like, hey, have you heard of this company called Titan? You're buying your, gym equipment that's costing you thousands and thousands of dollars, and they're providing pretty much the same thing for about half the cost. So, it just really grew from there. And, we have over 3,000 different products spread across our 4 brands. So it is very different. Each one has its own identity. So we're morphing into that brand building now that we have this large customer base, and really understanding who our customers are and how to speak to them and meet them really where they are in their process of buying, whether it's in the research phase or they're ready to make the decision today. And we want to offer as much as we possibly can on our websites and with our social media communication, our email communication, to make sure that they're trusting Titan, you know, like Raj said, as their first source whenever they need any of that. Not only just because we offer great products at, you know, those affordable prices, but also just because they trust the brand, they know that we're going to stand behind it, and they, you know, really want the products that we make. So.
Wow. Excellent. So you're making sure that you know your target audience and then conveying that messaging and making sure that you are present on all the different channels. Excellent. And a follow-up question for you, Austin, on that is, which channels do you currently focus a lot? Definitely that we have email, Facebook, Google, Instagram. There's so many out there, like 8 to 10, if we have to kind of list it down. What channels do you focus currently, and which do you think is really working best for you currently?
Right. So we break them down, you know, just like typical marketing strategy in your paid, earned, and owned, you know, advertising channels. We obviously do a lot of stuff through pay-per-click, through Google and Google Shopping. We organic search, you know, we're building our SEO like crazy every single day with our keywords and terms there. And then also, you know, our social brand, we're trying to build it out as quickly as possible. So we're really bouncing in all three. You know, for us, being that kind of price driven decision for most of the consumers, you know, we get a lot of traction from our paid search, but now one of our focuses is shifting to how do we become that household name for customers that's not only driven by the price decision. So building our social media strategy out to, you know, more refined than just posting some of our products. Like Raj said, you know, 80% should be tell and 20% sell. So getting more into that phase of our evolution, and really just focusing in on the newer brands that we have and just continuing to build those out.
Wonderful.
So I guess
that's amazing. Great. So you have a very thoughtful strategy in place to make sure that the brand recall happens and utilizing all the channels really well. Amazing. Raj, my next question is for you, and it's around your store. Which platform currently do you use, and why you have chosen that particular platform?
You mean for advertising?
No, for your e-commerce store. Are you using Shopify, Magento?
Oh.
What platform are you using?
Okay. So we are using Shopify. We are a Shopify Plus merchant. We are one of the earliest Shopify Plus merchants. When we established the brand, we were on the look for the best shopping platform that we could find then. And it was, this is 2012. And at the time, Shopify was hands down most trustworthy, most reliable. And we saw that was the shopping platform that we could scale because we didn't, even though we were a startup, we did not see ourselves as a startup. We saw ourselves 5 years in the future that we will have this brand established, and you will need something very robust and reliable. And at that time, even though Shopify was on the expensive side, we picked it because of the reliability, because of the great reviews other users had, and because of the great UI it had at that time. And over the period of time, within a year, we became Shopify Plus because they picked certain merchants which had more traffic. So we were part of their early adoption program. And since then, we have been using Shopify Plus. And till date, I would say the platform is great. I would give it a score of 9 on 10. Though I think the support should improve. So if any Shopify MSMs are watching this, I think they should pay attention to support and give it, give more authority to their MSMs to resolve, come with solutions, not, hey, you want a solution, go look at this article. We've already done that homework when we come asking to you. So we want MSMs to be more solution minded and give that kind of support, not just be messengers for Shopify.
Wonderful. Okay, great, amazing. Austin, how about you? Which e-commerce platform do you use currently?
So we're a Salesforce shop. We
Okay.
wanted something that was, completely customizable. We have a team of developers that we work with. You know, so just building that out as much as possible through that. And it's been great. Like Raj said, it's on the expensive side, but, not only from just the GMV piece of it, but also the development of having everything customized. It's not just a point and click. There are actually code changes most of the time in every single thing that we want to do, whether it's updating the homepage or changing in and out products. So it's been great, and it's really helped us, build as much as we want to, and it's a scalable platform to where we're trying to go. So
Wonderful. Salesforce. Okay, great, amazing. Moving on, let's talk about a little bit about the challenges in e-commerce. So, for example, definitely, since the offline world has taken a pause, I think online world is getting that traction ultimately, because that's the only way consumers can buy products from you. But I think we are in a pandemic state, and the pandemic is going to be there for some time. So it's not going to be that pre-pandemic life where we do all the regular things. So what are some of the challenges that you as a decision maker you see that you have to tackle in for the next few years in order to make sure that ultimately you have to serve your consumers? So what are some of the one or two challenges that you think are there that you have to tackle and find your way? If we go to Austin, what do you think?
Yes, this is a great question. The challenges we're facing right now with the global pandemic is obviously supply chain issues. I mean, we have manufacturing partners in over 11 different countries. So U.S. being one, and then Asia, India, and Europe and Mexico. So we're getting from all over. Every single port is pretty much just clogged up to the max. The cost to get a container shipped these days is almost doubled. So, I mean, just the cost of everything, getting it here, even if you can get a container scheduled to have the product shipped over, it's just astronomical. The transit times have almost doubled. It went from, approximately average lead time of around 30 days to now it's about 62 days. So it's just been incredibly challenging navigating through all of that with the pandemic. But we've made adjustments very quickly, and we've been able to sustain and shift our business model to adapt. And it's been, I would like to say we haven't missed a beat, but, it's definitely been challenging for sure. Without the team that I have here at Titan, I mean, it would have been impossible to try to figure this out without them. So it's been a big challenge.
Okay, interesting. So supply chain challenges, absolutely. And I must say, this is, and I think the cost side, because you are able to build your brand and have the entire demand coming in, but if you are not able to supply, that's because most of the time, on 9 out of 10 times when you're able to deliver, the consumers won't tell you and appreciate you, but that one time when they ordered and they don't get it in time, they'll say, "Oh God, I don't want to buy from this brand anymore." So I can definitely understand this reasoning, and you said it rightly, because I think sourcing has become a big challenge, and again the shipment side of things. So supply chain is a major hurdle that we have to find a way. I think I think biggest pointer that we can take away from this conversation. Raj, how about you? Is it the same or is it something different?
So when you talk about challenges, there are, I would say, I divide this challenges due to the pandemic and the usual challenges that we face. But before I tell you that, I want to give you a little context. Fortunately for us, the pandemic has been a blessing because more people stayed home. More people wanted to explore new products and experiences, and that led to a sales boost for us. So the good problem to have is now we have 203% increase in revenue from last year, 750% increase in traffic, but we're not able to, so our demand has quadrupled in a way, and we're not able to satisfy that demand. So that's a good problem to have.
Yeah.
The challenges for due to pandemic, we've been in the first phase last year, same time, it was worse.
Mm-hmm.
The first 3 months that and because we have to face the challenges of both sourcing country, US, and final
Mm-hmm.
audience, India. So
Mm-hmm.
something was good here, was different. What's happening over there is different, and they may overlap or
Yeah.
not. But initially, our challenges were that there was
Mm-hmm.
absolutely no e-commerce deliveries for almost a period of 2 months. And
Mm-hmm.
when that was announced, our
Yeah.
sales tanked down to literally 1% or 2%. So at that
Mm-hmm.
time, the challenge was surviving that period because
Yeah.
our expenses were the same. Our employees were still having to get paid. Our fixed operations were still in place. Uh, Eventually, that gave way, and then we had the sales boost, and then our challenges became supply chain, just like Austin mentioned. However, it was not so bad for us because most of the manufacturers in US do
Mm-hmm.
get uh, the products manufactured in China, but that enough in stocks for them to be able to ration and distribute it to their vendors and retailers like us.
Yeah.
So it was not so bad, though there was some, the prices increased, but it was marginal, and we could absorb those challenges. The primary challenge at that time was delivering, so the shipping to India,
Mm-hmm.
because most of the companies were, they were minimal staff, they were not working in many stations. So for 3 months, we could not ship any consignment to India, which led
Mm-hmm.
to, once the markets opened, there was 2 months of orders that were backlogged, which was
Wow.
the most difficult phase because, like you said, if you deliver the product in time, they will remember and appreciate it. But if the delivery is delayed, and especially e-commerce, that leads to a lot of discontent, which we had, and we were trying to keep the communication as transparent as possible. We had informed our customers that you ordering now, you're pre-ordering now, the delivery is going to happen this time, and though it did not happen exactly, there were delays, but we communicated. There were some smaller challenges that we handled and we were able to overcome. For
Mm-hmm.
now, uh, things have stabilized, because our commodities are smaller, not like the gym equipment, which is larger. So our commodity is smaller, and we spread across multiple manufacturers. So if this manufacturer is short on certain products, we purchase different brand from different manufacturers. So we kind of adopted to
Uh-huh.
mitigate that challenge.
Good.
And then for now, we feel like we have learned, and now that challenge is not so impactful that it was in the first time around. But then
Mm-hmm.
our usual challenges in India are definitely uh, import challenges, being a country which is very conservative, being a country which has the second largest population and the one who gave the world Kama Sutra. India is a very conservative country, and people want to use, but the people who are in charge of imports, they do not believe that, and they cause complications for us all the time. So those
Mm-hmm.
are our usual challenges we gotta learn, and we call it as business expenses per
Absolutely,
se.
absolutely, absolutely. And you put it rightly because uh, I think the pandemic has presented some challenges, and the other challenges that you have to deal with are again monumental. But I think you are finding your way through, and I think it's only time that's the only way it can solve that, or it's the mindset change, or it's going to need a big disruption, I can say, because I think any major change that has happened in adaptation for it, so it requires time. Most of the time, I think there's a learning curve that's often being said, and which it can be 1 year, or it can be 10 years, or it can be even 100 years. So that is something which is out of our hands. But what you mentioned and the way you kept it transparent, I think because in the logistics part, earlier people used to take logistics for granted, like, okay, I ordered it and it will be delivered. But ultimately, when you
Right.
are in a pandemic stage, it can't happen. It's like it's some human who has to do get that thing to your doorstep. and you have to. Everyone is struggling, so I think you read by keeping it transparent. I think that's the only way because there's nothing to hide. Excellent, gentlemen. The next question, as we are moving forward, and let's talk about the future. What do you think the retail future is? Especially, we are in 2021, and down the line, we are seeing a huge disruption in technology, the way marketing is being done, programmatic marketing is happening, and a lot of competition is also evolving along while you're doing business. So, what are some of the milestones that or goals that you have for the next 5 years for your brand? Austin, let me come to you.
The future is just rapidly changing, right? So fortunately for us, we knew that e-commerce was the way that people were going to shop primarily, years ago. And I do believe that the pandemic has just sped that up drastically, forcing people to shop online. And now people that were reluctant to adopt it, now they've gotten used to it. Like you can click the button and it's at your house in 2 to 3 days. That beats getting in the car, going and shopping, going to 3 or 4 stores, trying to load it up, and then bringing it home. So I believe that is here to stay for sure for the e-commerce world, and that's amazing news. For all of us that's how we make our living. The challenge is going to be the just drastic shift in culture. I think from generations. You've got the older generations who probably were reluctant to shop online. And you've got your younger generations that are making money in many different ways in the traditional aspect. Whenever I was a kid, it's like, what do you want to be when you grow up? It's doctor, lawyer, whatever that is. And now you ask a kid what they want to be when they grow up, and it's a YouTube personality,
YouTuber,
or want to be a professional video gamer and things like that. And when I was growing up, especially that just was not even an option to make money that way. So I think that the amount of disposable income that's going to be out there and the way that the things are being generated now is just going to drastically change the way that people shop in the future. And it's going to force them to e-commerce, and hopefully the brands can just meet those generations where they are, like what we try to do all day, every day as e-commerce companies, and try to market to those people as dynamic as those groups are. So that's going to be very challenging, I think, for the future. And the companies that figure out how to do that best way possible will be the ones that win. So.
Wow, wonderful. That's a great thought process. And absolutely, there's a big evolution that's happening from what we can say the previous generation versus this generation, more tech savvy, more adaptability, we can say. And of course, the power to spend. And so I think you're keeping ahead and making sure that you are building something for them which makes sense for them, and ultimately I think creating that brand persona and brand recall which will make the sale happen or the conversion happen. Excellent. Raj, how about you? What's your milestone? You already mentioned the revenue thing that you hit. What do you think? Where is your brand heading?
So first of all, I'd echo what Austin said, that e-commerce is the future of shopping, and pandemic brought in a lot of reluctant people to adopt to online shopping. So in a way, that is great news. It's great news for brands like us who focus, who brought in the traditional retail experience to online. I see the next 5 years to be, in a way for our industry and our market, I would call it a revolutionary period. Kind of going back to what you told earlier, that it may take 1 year, 5 year, 10 years for the public mindset to change. And we know it's going to change because the more and more younger audience coming over, and more change in the way they perceive a lifestyle or your needs and wants. The good news is when that changes, we'll be first in the line to be there. So we are in a very, I can't be happier. I feel this brand has probably been my calling. And when I look back, there are a lot of things in my life which I can see connect the dots to bring me here to be leading and operating this brand. And I remember Steve Jobs, one of his address at a university where he had said that, you know, when you look your life backwards, you should see the dots that will connect to where you are today. The
Yeah.
next 5 years in our market and for the brand that we have, we see a dynamic shift. We want to leverage the trust and the credibility that we have built over the last 8 years into expanding the market from not being just in India to catering to Indians outside of India. Um,
Mm-hmm.
the ethos of our brand, we've always been around ethnic marketing. So instead of, you know, going and competing with the big fish in the pond, we
Yeah.
decided to narrow our focus and be the big fish in a smaller pond, rather
Mm-hmm.
than be a small fish in a big pond. So because
Yeah.
our focus always been that, we want to leverage that trust and credibility and expand our operation, because now cross-border commerce is much easier and less of hurdles and challenge than it was in 2012. So there is a population of 75 million Indians and sub-Indian continent audience across the world, which is living outside of India. So we see them as the next market, which is not catered to or not served at the moment. We
Mm-hmm.
also will be pivoting to become a marketplace for the adult products and
Yeah.
convert this into a sexual well-being, sexual health brand, then become just an adult store, because now it resonates with our improved vision.
Mm-hmm.
And once we become a marketplace, you know, it will mean that we will no longer be involved in stocking and sourcing inventory. Will become
Yeah.
a place where we establish the the platform for all such brands to come and showcase,
Mm-hmm.
and hopefully expand our audience, you know, redirect our attention to getting more brands to more wider consumer base, and probably that will be what we see the focus for the next 5 years. And that
Mm-hmm.
growth, if I have to quantify it in a measure of a scale, that would be anywhere between 10x to 50x growth from where we
Mm-hmm.
are now. That's how we see the next 5 years.
Excellent. That's a great thought process. And as you said it rightly, by moving into that marketplace model, allowing more brands to kind of pitch in and ultimately kind of opening up and kind of augmenting the product catalog for the end consumers. I think that great things can happen because then consumers will have more choices. And again, I think it's a best way to make sure that because when you build a platform, you are able to connect the dots in so many different ways, as you said it rightly, because then you are not just running your own brand, but you are allowing more brands to leverage your brand popularity and the infrastructure that you have built for them. Excellent. Because just like how Amazon started way back, like 30, 40
Yes,
years back, who thought like
selling
a
books.
right? I mean, there were sites, but they constantly kept on refining, and like the processes that and Amazon is like, yeah, a lot of things that can be learned from Amazon, and I think, and over the years, I was observing some trend, and I noticed that yes, Amazon is that king, which is definitely ruling the world, but I think the niche brands that are creating like for every particular product or the vertical that is also a very big opportunity and it is still untapped. There's a huge, maybe $1 trillion opportunity that will unfold when more brands are able to build their presence because now technology is available. You have an e-commerce platform available. You have analytics to understand consumer behavior. You have AI to do personalization. You can do so many different things so easily now. So while we are coming to an end, gentlemen, let's talk about something which is around, let's say you want to give an advice to a young business which wants to venture into e-commerce or somebody who already has an e-commerce business, but let's say hardly 1 or 2 years in the business. What is that one piece of advice or a learning that you would like to share that you have actually implemented in your own businesses that has allowed you to create your brand presence and to scale up or to create that uh, like a brand recall for your consumers? What are some of the advices that you would like to share? Let me go to Austin.
So for me, it would be, one, the answer is always simple. A lot of people like to overthink things. They just get lost in so many different options to make a decision. And I have to always pare it down to reverse engineer from the most complicated problem all the way down to what's the first step that I need to take. So if you're able to do that and keep it simple, then I do think that's a key to success. Number two would be just absolute, obsessive work ethic. If you don't have that, then entrepreneurship or running an e-commerce company or working for yourself at all is just not in the cards. And then I guess the third thing would be, you get what you demand or you get what you tolerate. So you train people how to treat you. And in the business world, you have to sometimes, just be a go-getter and not take no for an answer, and overcome every objection that you possibly can to be successful. If you have, I think, those three things right there, then the opportunity for you to be successful is right there if you get in the market at the right place at the right time.
Wow, that's excellent advice that Austin has shared there. And I think that really resonates in today's scenario is like not taking no for an answer and getting things done and making sure that you're always on the top of things and evolving and learning. Excellent advice, Austin. Thank you so much for sharing that. Raj, what advice you would like to share?
And I'll 100% agree to what Austin said too. And then in the same way for us, I'll try to simplify this because for somebody who's starting an e-commerce brand, and I can visualize myself 8 years or 9 years back, where there are so many things you want to worry about. Focus on sales, focus on marketing, focus on platform, focus on experience. So I'd tell you that put your focus on building a reputable brand, which delivers a great experience to your existing paying customer, and such great experience that it basically makes each customer become a brand ambassador for you. And that's going to amplify your brand reach. So everything comes later. First, focus on building that brand, which people can trust, which is credible, which says what it does and does what it says. And once you do that, even, you may not be the Amazon every time, but you will still be like I said earlier, the large fish in a small pond. So once you focus that and you can deliver what expectations you're setting, even if you're selling 10 products a month, you're selling 100 products, each experience should be what you set up at the beginning. And if you do that, you will have a solid foundation. Once you have a solid foundation, then you start building upon it. So the focus first would be to establish the solid foundation, whatever your brand is, whatever your product is, whatever your audience is. Focus on that solid foundation. And then once it's there, then you build upon it.
Excellent. So building that respectable brand and kind of making sure that you are ultimately going to help your consumers and creating that brand presence so that the consumers at the end of the day, when they're buying from you or when they come to your store, they get that experience. Excellent advice, Raj. Gentlemen, it's an amazing conversation with you today, and I think we've finished well within time. I would like to take this opportunity to say thank you on behalf of my team at Alito for taking out time today and opening up and freely sharing your learnings and experiences, because these are some of the things that we can do in the world that we are living in, is by sharing up the stories or the learnings and experiences. We never know who might get benefited or whom we might inspire from our experiences, because in a grand scheme of things, ultimately people are doing so many different things, but they always need those nudges or that bit of advice here and there that can help them shape up their destiny. So with this, Austin, thank you so much for taking out time today. It has been a pleasure to learn from you, and we'd love to host you again, maybe on some other topic in the future. Raj, thank you so much again for taking out time, joining in, and talking about your entire story. It's amazing to know. And I think sky's the limit, I must say, because what you're doing is tremendous. It's like you're keep moving and hitting those milestones. And I think maybe 2025, 2030, every 5 years, your brand will reach new heights. That's my best wish for you guys. Thank you so much once again.
Well, don't forget the group picture.
Absolutely. All right, let me take that just a second.
Yes.
Just a second.
And I'll have a question for Austin before you go.
Absolutely.
Tell us when you're ready.
Yeah, go ahead. You can ask the question.
You took the picture?
Yeah, I took a screenshot.
Okay. All right. Austin, what says on that screen behind you with the lion in the back? Is that a quote you got in the back there?
It does. It says you get what you demand or you get what you tolerate.
Wonderful, wonderful. Well, I'm glad what you say and what you believe in, you shared that with your team. So wonderful. Well, great knowing you guys. Kuldeep, thank you for inviting us and asking us some great questions that allowed us to share what we know. And hopefully it's resourceful and helpful to some person who's watching, and hopefully a lot of people will get to watch this and get inspired by it. And Austin, good seeing you, good meeting you. Congratulations on your fantastic journey.
Thank you. Appreciate it, guys.
Thank you. Thank you, Raj. Thank you, Austin. I'll connect with you guys over email and let's talk again soon. Thank you so much. Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye, guys.